Up till now, our labeled point descriptions have simply been a reflection of the description key codes. Now, sometimes these codes can be a little cryptic, and they might cause some confusion if they appear on production drawings. Fortunately, we can use Civil 3D's description keys to convert these raw descriptions into more formal or full descriptions. In this lesson, we'll learn how to use description keys to improve the formatting of labeled point descriptions. As you can see, we're picking up where we left off in the last lesson. So if you want to keep working in your drawing, you certainly can. Likewise, you can also open my saved version called Desk Keys 2. Let's start by zooming in on point number 4. This point represents a tree. Take a look at this description. This isn't bad, but you know what? I'd kind of like this to say tree. We'll do that by making a quick change to the description keys. To edit the description keys, I'll go to the Settings tab in the Tool space, and I'll expand the Point category and the Description Key Sets category. I'll right-click on these sample keys, and I'll choose Edit. Right here we can see the code that was used for that point. Here's the symbol and the label style that's used. Right here in the Format column, this is where we create a more formal description. Currently, these are all set to $**. We'll talk about what that means in a little bit. For right now, I'm just going to double-click in this field, and I'll type what I want the description to be. I'll just type tree, and I'll press Enter. I will then click the green check to close the vista, and we'll create another point. We'll do that by opening the Points menu. I'll choose Point Creation Tools. I'm going to push the toolbar up so it's out of the way. We'll create a miscellaneous manual point, and I'll pick a location on screen. For my description, I'll type TR, the same code that we use in description keys. And then for elevation, this is arbitrary. I'm just going to type 245, and I'll press Enter. I will then press Escape. As you can see, this is a little more descriptive than this is. We use the exact same description key, however, we get a much more formal description. If I select this new point and choose Edit List Points from the ribbon, right here we can see the data associated with this point, and in the raw description field, we can see the code that was used to create the point. Down here under Description Format, this is the column in the description keys where we control the formatting on our label. And you can see there really is no formatting. I just typed tree, and that is in fact what the full description is, just the word tree. Let's dismiss the vista. I'll press Escape to deselect this point, and we'll take the concept a little further. Sometimes when we collect tree shots out in the field, we want more information than just the fact that it's a tree. Sometimes we may want to collect things like the trunk diameter or the drip line diameter. Maybe the species or the condition of the tree. Let's look at how we can create a point label that includes some of these other attributes. As an example, we'll assume that I am collecting trees and I also want to collect their trunk diameter and their species. Normally, the point code we would use in the field for a tree is TR. In the event I'm collecting this additional information, my code might look like this. Even though this looks like separate pieces of text, this is one continuous text string. It represents the raw description for the point. Now, if I take this one big description and separate the various attributes with spaces, each one of those attributes represents a parameter that can be used for labeling. Parameter 0 is the code that was used to collect the point. In this case, parameter 1 represents my trunk diameter. Parameter 2 represents the species, and so on. In the event you're wondering, we can have as many as 9 parameters, so we can collect and label quite a bit of information on each point. Let's return to Civil 3D, and let's customize the tree description key such that we can label the trunk diameter and species. I'm going to go back to the Settings tab. I'll right-click on these sample keys and choose Edit. And then next to my tree code, I'll come down to the Format column. Knowing what we know now, you can see the $**. What this really means is label all the parameters. That asterisk means everything. So basically, whatever is typed in the field, that is what you're going to see as a description in the drawing. I'm going to double-click in the Format column, and to label the trunk diameter and species, my format will be $1. That represented the trunk diameter. I'll put an inch symbol and then a space, and then $2. That was the parameter for the species. I'll press Enter. We'll dismiss the vista, and we'll create another point. For the description, I'm going to type TR space, then the trunk diameter, 6, space, and then the species. I'll type maple. I don't know if you've noticed, everything I've typed so far has been uppercase. That's because the description keys are case sensitive. So a good rule of thumb is to always use uppercase, and then you never have to worry about things not matching. For the elevation, I'm just going to type 300, and I'll press Enter, and I'll press Escape when finished. And you can see that in this case, we have a much more formal description, giving us even more information about this point. Let's create one more. I'll place this point to the right of the last one. And then for the description, I'm going to type TR space 12 for the trunk diameter. And then for the species, I'm going to type red maple. I'll press enter. And then for the elevation, we'll just make it 300. Now, can you tell me why we are not seeing the entire species name? Well, the species name included a space, which in turn caused the word maple to be parameter 3, and I'm not choosing to label parameter 3 on these points. How do we fix that? Well, I could go back to the description keys and I could add parameter 3 to my formatting, or I could select this point. I could go to Edit List Points, and under the raw description, I can just click in here. I could put an underscore between red and maple. As long as we're here, we can see there's the raw description. Here's the description format that was used to create this full description in the drawing. Finally, I'd like to apply the current description keys to these existing tree points. I'll do that by selecting them. I'll right-click and choose Apply Description Keys. Take a look at the descriptions. This happened because these trees did not include data for the trunk or the species. Not a problem. Let's assume both of these trees are identical. I'm going to select both of them. And then from the contextual ribbon, we'll choose Edit List Points. I'd like to change both of these points at the same time. I'll do that by selecting one, and then I'll hold my Shift key and grab the other one. We'll change their raw descriptions. I'll do that by right-clicking on the column header, and I'll choose Edit. Anything I type now will be applied to all the selected points. Let's make these TR space 6 space oak. When I'm finished, I'll click the green check to close the vista, and I'll close the point toolbar, and we'll zoom out and center the drawing on screen. If you have time, try experimenting with the description keys to improve the descriptions for some of these other points. When it comes to labeling point descriptions, we are not forced to display basic field codes. Using the description keys, we can create comprehensive formal descriptions containing several pieces of information about each point.